Okay, so good morning. I am Janelle Breeze-Biagioni, and I'm the CEO and founder of the Constable Gerald Breeze Center for Traumatic Life Losses. And our initiative from our charity is the Heads Together think tank. So I'm here today to talk with Barb Butler from Saskatchewan, and Barb has been on our committee planning the Real People, Real Stories virtual event, which is taking place on October 20th. So thanks for joining me, Barb. And thank you so much for being on that committee, because I know your input was extremely valued.
You're very welcome. Glad to be able to help.
Well, and you are have been, superhero to me, just your journey alone as a brain injury survivor, and a great mom and grandma and stuff. Like, we have lots of experiences that we share there. So, but I really was happy to have you be part of it. But what I wanted to talk today is why I would have someone from Saskatchewan talking in helping to plan a British Columbia event. So Barb and I go back a long way. I don't even remember when we met. You remember? I know it was Naramata, I think, right?
It may have been, and that was in 1999, I think. Yeah. Although I don't know.
A long way.
Yeah,
but you have been involved in the brain injury community, not only as a survivor and family member, but you've been involved at a local level in Saskatchewan, and you've been involved provincially, Saskatchewan too, right? And then you've been involved nationally on the Brain Injury Canada board and part of their conference. And I've been involved locally, provincially, and nationally as well. So that's kind of where our professional lines cross over, where we've met many, many times. And it was your involvement, particularly on the national level, that I asked you to be a part of the planning here in BC, because and all of this came out of the idea to have the think tanks came out of my presentation in Ottawa for Brain Injury Canada, when I spoke about mental health, addiction, and brain injury, and the intersections and the concern I had about that, and people coming forward and saying, we need to do something. And I didn't know what to do, and I didn't go there with an idea of anything further beyond my presentation, but this is what came from it. So I asked you to be a part of that. And so I guess today it would be great for you to share your perspective, kind of what you heard at that conference and what you've heard from people in your work, and, so professionally, but also personally, about the need to address these intersections.
And it's interesting that you say this is a BC centered committee, and it is, other than me. But when you did your presentation in Ontario, there were people there from all over Canada who could relate to what you were saying. And that just showed me and showed you that although the services are different all across Canada, the problems are the same. So, I mean, I have people in my local group I know that are suffering from addictions to all sorts of things and mental health issues. And we actually, in our brain injury support group, don't really address those. Not that it's not part of our mandate, but because we often don't have someone with the experience to assist those people there. And that's what we need. We need people, working in the trenches that can handle addictions, mental health, as they relate to brain injury and as they don't relate. I mean,
Yeah, absolutely. And I know when I came to Ottawa, my daughter Mariah was with me as well. And we also went to Parliament Hill and met with Alistair McGregor, our MP. And that was part of the work that I was doing, because I am looking to move this to a national scope. And the reason for this event was like, okay, let's get started in British Columbia to hold these conversations and start collaborating on what a provincial service delivery plan may look like. And then from here, our plan for our organization is, now how do we take this across the country and have these conversations?
Yeah, that's very important.
Mm-hmm. And because I am really clear in my own mind that you know, Victoria can't tell Prince George what's best for them, but I also in Victoria can't tell Saskatchewan. You know, BC can't say to Saskatchewan, this works best for you. And we can't tell Ontario, and Ontario really can't tell us either. But the thing is, there are some very, very smart, passionate, dedicated people working across this country in the field of brain injury who have great ideas, have developed some amazing programs that are working. And so if we look at that, like, we don't need to fix what's not broken and we don't need to reinvent the wheel. Why have we not leveraged all these programs across the country and adapted them province to province to work?
I think another thing we don't do or we haven't done is listen to the survivors. Ask them, what is it you need, instead of us saying, we think this is what you need. This is the program you need to be involved in. Have the survivors say, no, this is what I want you to help me with. And listening to the survivor, I think, is key.
I do too. That lived experience cannot be replaced. You know, that you are the expert in that journey, and your family and my family, we're the experts in our family's journey, right? And we can't discount that for anything. So part of the work with the think tanks is that we've really wanted to do and establish a meet in the middle approach, because for me, the top down approach is exactly what you've been talking about, what you're talking about that has happened historically, is that we tell people what's best for them and what works and what we can fund and what's reasonable. And well, you know what? Brain injury is not reasonable. So I'm not interested in what's just reasonable to happen. So that's a top-down approach. And bottom-up approach for me would be where everybody gets all their golden wishes met. And we know that that's not possible either. There are restrictions to funders. There are restrictions for what, you know, politicians are able to do. But that doesn't mean that things can't change and shouldn't change. So if we're going to meet in the middle and we need to have these conversations, then at the heart of the matter, for sure, are survivors and family members. Right? And so our organization was committed that we were not moving ahead unless we had an established committee that was comprised of survivors and family members. And we wanted to lead the events off with real people, real stories, because there is such power in those stories. So some of the things, tell me was there any aha for you in that? Because in your committee was a mix of survivors and family members. Was there any ahas for you that you learned or came up?
I think that when you meet in a committee, say, if that, just give an example, if there's, you know, a professional and a therapist and a survivor, the survivor often doesn't, you know, feel forward to give answers because, you know, like I'm low on the totem pole. But the minute you get that survivor to speak and share their ideas and encourage them, they'll speak more. So I think encouragement, and, you know, don't take shyness to speak as a sign that they have nothing to say. They just need to be encouraged and to feel empowered to, like, we want to hear what you have to say. Right. And survivors don't often feel that way. So as long as they know that, hey, I'm important to this group, they do want to know what I have to say, then. So I think that's been my aha moment with not only that, but with my support group. You'll have someone come in who just, you know, I have nothing to say. I'm not important. I'm just a survivor. You don't want to hear from me, but you have to let them know that you do want to hear from them, that they are the important one in the group.
Right. So what's very exciting for all of us is that you and your daughter, Erin, are going to join us on October 20th.
Yeah.
And we are going to have some questions. You're going to be on a panel, and again, acknowledging that while you don't live in British Columbia, you've been a very important person to all of us in the brain injury community. You've been our superhero, you've been a hero for other people, but you've been such a strong advocate to say, you know, we as the survivors matter. And our families matter too. And I applaud you and I admire you for standing up and sticking to your guns on that, because it's super important. But I'm very happy to have you and Erin joining us on October 20th. And I just want to encourage people to go to www.headstogetherthinktank.com and register. Once you register, you're registered for all 4 events. They're free. Yes, we will be recording them and they will be back on the website after, so don't worry if you can't attend, but we do hope people will attend in person. It's all done by Zoom. It's all going to be secure, but we do want that engagement and interaction, and we want to let people know that this matters. These conversations that we're having will be going back to our government. Yes, we're having an election on October 24th in British Columbia, but for us, it's business as usual. We've had elections forever, and we've had changes in governments forever. You know, I've been in this journey for 30 years. Barb's been, you know, almost as long or as longer. I don't, you know, we've all been around decades to do this. And so there's been multiple governments, and we've started over many, many times. So, you know, just letting people know we're not taking our foot off the gas because there is an election coming. We're just forging ahead. But super happy to have you both attending on that day. So that, thank you very much.
Probably excited to do it.
Great.